Ninjas are great at sneaking through blockers, but what if every single hit also drew you a card and drained the entire table? That's exactly what Yuriko the Tiger Shadow does best. And when the ninjas start striking, the value starts spiking. Hi everyone, I'm Full Harmonicon and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about one of the most notorious commanders ever printed. But this isn't a super competitive cEDH version that stacks the deck with giant spells to nuke the table. Instead, we're going full ninja tribal synergy. It's still gonna be a little unfair. It's Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow. And if you love sneaky combat tricks, drawing a bunch of cards and slowly pinging your opponents into oblivion, this deck is for you. Yuriko is a 1/3 human ninja for 3 mana. And she has 2 absolutely crazy abilities. First, she has Commander Ninjutsu for 1 blue and a black. That means you can pay 2 mana, return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand, and put Yuriko onto the battlefield from your hand or the command zone, tapped and attacking. Then, her second ability, whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, you reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. Then, each opponent loses life equal to that card's mana value. So what that means is, Yuriko always costs 2 mana, because ninjutsu completely ignores command attacks. Second, every ninja that connects draws you a card. And third, every one of those hits drains the entire table based on the mana value of the card you reveal. The overall game plan is pretty simple. First, we want to get a few cheap evasive creatures onto the battlefield. Then, we start ninjutsuing Yuriko and other ninjas into combat once those evasive creatures slip through unblocked, drawing cards and draining the table every time they connect. And finally, we win through steady damage and constant card advantage from Yuriko's second ability. Eventually, the table just runs out of life. So let's highlight a few of the ninjas that really shine in this deck. Miss Syndicate Naga is absolutely wild. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you create a token copy of it. So if it connects once, you have 2. If both of those connect next turn, suddenly you've got 4. And that means 4 Yuriko triggers. Yes please. Ink Eye's Servantum Oni is another powerful one. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you can reanimate a creature from that player's graveyard directly onto the battlefield under your control. So not only are we draining opponents, we're also stealing their best creatures. Moonblade Shinobi helps build our board by creating 1/1 flying illusion tokens whenever it deals combat damage. Those little evasive creatures become perfect future ninjutsu targets. Sakashima's Student is incredibly flexible. It enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. That could be your best ninja or the best creature anyone else controls. Azra, Smoke Shaper, protects one of our creatures by granting indestructible when it enters the battlefield, while Nezumi Prana gives a creature Death Touch and Lifelink, which makes combat extremely awkward for opponents. Walker of the Secret Ways is a fantastic utility ninja. When it connects, you get to look at a player's hand, and it can also return ninjas to your hand so you can reuse their ninjutsu abilities. Teiko, the Patient Avalanche, grows whenever a creature leaves the battlefield without dying, which happens constantly thanks to ninjutsu, and it can also grant unblockable. And finally, Super Shredder gets bigger every time a permanent leaves the battlefield. With ninjutsu bouncing creatures back to your hand all the time, it can become a massive threat surprisingly fast. Of course, ninjas don't work without evasive creatures to sneak through the blockers. Thousand Face Shadow is a great early play as a 1-drop with flying, but later in the game, if it enters attacking via ninjutsu, it creates a copy of another attacking creature, giving us even more attackers and more triggers. Baleful Strix is the perfect utility. It draws a card when it enters the battlefield, and it has flying and death touch, which makes it an excellent creature to bounce back to our hand. Changeling Outcast is especially nice because it can't be blocked and it counts as a ninja thanks to Changeling. Then we have a suite of classic unblockable creatures. Slitherblade, Triton Shorestalker, Mistcloaked Herald, and Tormented Soul all 1-mana creatures that are incredibly reliable at slipping through for ninjutsu. Ornithopter is another fantastic enabler. It costs 0 mana and has flying, making it perfect for repeatedly bouncing back to your hand. Dimir Infiltrator can sneak in early damage, but it also has Transmute, letting us tutor for a key 2-mana card when needed. Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive is amazing here. She makes creatures with power 1 or less unblockable, which includes Yuriko herself. And Phantom Ninja is simply impossible to block, meaning it could keep triggering Yuriko turn after turn. Next up, we have some cards that support the deck in other ways. Splinter Hamoto Yoshi gives our ninjas +1/+1 and also has Menace, making him hard to block. Throatseeker gives all our unblocked ninjas lifelink, which helps stabilize our life total. Smoke Shroud is a great ninja-themed aura. It gives a creature flying and a power boost, and whenever a ninja enters the battlefield, you can return Smoke Shroud from your graveyard attached to it. Ninja Team helps us with our win condition. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, it pings each opponent for 1 damage. It can also upgrade itself to pump your board and grant menace. And it lets you cast cards from your grave with their newly acquired sneak cost. And of course, we have Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. These protect Yuriko from removal or give haste to something like Ornithopter so we can ninjutsu immediately. Yuriko already draws plenty of cards, but adding more never hurts. Ingenious Infiltrator draws a card whenever any ninja deals combat damage to a player. Ninja of the Deep Hours, Moon Circuit Hacker, Orokusaki Shredder Rising all draw cards when they connect. With Yuriko on the field, that means 2 cards per hit. Aegir the Stillwind lets us tutor for ninjas whenever it deals combat damage. Satoru Umezawa gives all our creatures ninjutsu and lets us look at the top 3 cards of our library whenever we activate ninjutsu. Satoru the Infiltrator draws cards whenever creatures enter the battlefield without being cast, which is exactly what ninjutsu does. Kaito, Bane of Nightmares, can enter as a 3/4 ninja creature with ninjutsu. He also creates a +1/+1 Ninja Anthem emblem. He draws up to 3 cards or locks down opposing creatures with stun counters. Kaito Shizuki provides steady value by drawing a card each turn and can create an unblockable ninja token. His ultimate creates an emblem that lets you tutor a blue or black creature straight onto the battlefield whenever one of your creatures deals combat damage. And Kaito, Dancing Shadow, either draws cards or creates evasive creature tokens. Those tokens even ping opponents when they leave the battlefield, which is perfect for when we bounce them back to our hand. Ninjas also bring plenty of interaction. Mistblade Shinobi bounces creatures when it connects with a player. Moonsnare Specialist returns threats to their owner's hand when it enters the battlefield. Throat Slitter destroys a creature when it deals combat damage to a player. Dokuchi Silencer lets us discard a creature to destroy a creature. Biting Palm Ninja removes cards from our opponent's hands. Skull Snatcher disrupts enemy graveyards. Okiba Gang Shinobi forces opponents to discard 2 cards. Fallen Shinobi lets you cast cards from your opponent's library for free. Nashi, Moon Sage's Scion, steals spells from the top of your opponent's deck. And Silent Blade Oni lets you cast spells directly from your opponent's hand. The rest of our interaction package includes staples like Counterspell, An Offer You Can't Refuse, Feed the Swarm, and Withering Torment. Ninjas don't have a ton of tribal ramp options, but Prosperous Thief generates treasure whenever it deals combat damage to a player. Orochi Soul Reaver can create multiple treasure tokens when creatures hit opponents. Silver Fur Master discounts ninjutsu abilities and pumps on ninjas and rogues. The rest of our ramp comes from staples like Soul Rake, Arcane Signet, Dimir Signet, Talisman of Dominance, and Wayfarer's Bauble. And finally, a few lands that help us out. Rogue's Passage and Access Tunnel make creatures unblockable. Mystic Sanctuary can put an instant or sorcery from our graveyard back on top of our deck to maximize Yuriko's damage. Alamar Depths helps us set up the top of our deck for the same reason. Creeping Tar Pit becomes an emergency unblockable attacker, and Secluded Courtyard works perfectly to fix our mana. Honestly, Yuriko is broken. Even when she's not doing her cEDH thing, she's incredibly strong. She ignores command attacks, draws a ton of cards, and drains the whole table over and over again. As long as you have an unblockable creature on the battlefield, Yuriko can come back for just 2 mana. She's the main win condition of the deck, so save some protection for when you think you can close out the game. Other than that, just let the ninjas run wild. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this breakdown, leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more synergy-based Commander content. If you'd like to support the channel further and help vote on future videos, memberships are available. And hey, if you're picking up any of these cards, consider using my TCG Player affiliate link down below. And until next time, may all your ninjas hit their mark.